I've always been fascinated by the unknown. I have been exploring caves since my childhood, first with my father and when I was old enough alone. So when I heard about these uncharted caves, I couldn't resist the temptation to explore them. Armed with a flashlight, some snacks, and a backpack, I embarked on this adventure. The moment I stepped into the caves, an eerie feeling washed over me. It was as if someone or something was lurking in the darkness, watching my every move. I tried to shrug off the uneasy sensation, convincing myself that it was just my overactive imagination playing tricks on me. But that feeling never really left me, not for a second. As I ventured deeper into the labyrinth of tunnels, the unease intensified. My footsteps echoed off the walls, creating a sinister symphony that sent shivers down my spine. After what felt like hours of walking through this inky abyss, I decided to take a break and grab a bite to eat. I sat down on a damp rock, my flashlight casting eerie shadows. I was in the middle of munching on a granola bar when I heard it, a faint, scratching sound coming from above. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I shone my flashlight toward the source of the noise, and my blood ran cold. There, clinging to the cave ceiling, was the most grotesque, emaciated creature I had ever seen. Its limbs were long and bony, and its skin was so pale that it seemed to almost glow in the dim light. But what horrified me the most were its eyes. They were milky white, devoid of any humanity, and they were fixed on me. The creature's mouth stretched into a sinister grin, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. I stumbled backward, my granola bar falling from my hand. Panic surged through me as I realized there was no way out. The creature began to crawl along the cave ceiling, its movements eerily fluid. My mind raced, and I knew I had to get away from that abomination. I turned and sprinted deeper into the caves, my flashlight trembling in my hand. As I ran, the creature pursued, its footsteps almost inaudible against the cave's surface. The maze of tunnels became a blur as I desperately tried to escape. My breath came in ragged gasps, and the walls seemed to close in on me. I had no sense of direction, I was utterly lost. The creature's presence was an unrelenting nightmare. I rounded a corner, and to my dismay, I found myself in a dead-end chamber. There was no way out, and the creature was closing in. My heart raced as I scanned the room for any possible escape route. That's when I spotted it, a narrow crevice in the wall, just big enough for me to squeeze through. Without a second thought, I dove into the gap, my heart pounding, and my breath held. I could hear the creature's hissing breath just inches from my face as it reached out for me, but it couldn't quite reach. My flashlight clattered to the ground on the other side. I wriggled through the cramped space, feeling the creature's icy fingers graze my feet. It was a tight squeeze, and I could barely move, but the thought of escaping that monstrosity fueled my determination. Finally, I burst out on the other side, gasping for breath and covered in dirt. The creature hissed in frustration from the other side of the crevice, unable to follow me. I didn't dare look back, I had to find my way out of these caves. I picked up my flashlight and stumbled through the darkness, retracing my steps as best I could. Every shadow seemed to conceal the lurking creature, and every sound sent me into a terrified frenzy. My ordeal felt endless, but finally, I stumbled upon the faint glimmer of light at the end of a tunnel. The exit. I practically sprinted toward it, my heart pounding, and my body trembling with exhaustion. The fresh air and the sight of the outside world were like a lifeline. As I burst out of the cave's mouth, I collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. The pale creature remained trapped in the depths of the caves, and I hoped it would never find its way out. I had narrowly escaped, but the memory of that horrifying encounter would haunt my dreams for a long time.